How are we, lads?
Yeah, all good, mate.
Wonderful.
Yeah, really good, thanks.
Good. So we'll start this week by talking a little bit about the cup final. Obviously, Crystal Palace have won. Mike, I know that will probably upset you, but I think for the wider football population, that's a good result in my opinion.
Yeah, fuming. They want them to win. Disgraceful. Henderson should have been sent off, and then he was on the pitch to save the penalty. It's disgraceful.
It's a good save. That was a good save.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it would be even better save if he was where he should have been, which was on the bloody bench.
There was quite a bit of controversy, wasn't there?
Yeah.
But that handball outside of the box.
I don't know how he's got away with it.
It was clear, wasn't it? It was like quite a way out.
Oh, it was clearly outside the box.
Yeah.
I guess was the talking about was whether they should have overturned the decision, really, because was it a sort of straight red?
Well, if he hadn't punched it, Haaland scored, didn't he?
Haaland's rounded him and scored, didn't he? Well, Haaland's rounded him and got an empty net to, you'd think, score.
But wasn't the talking point? I don't know. Haaland, was he moving? I don't know. Was he moving away from the goal? Don't know. I'm trying to understand why they didn't intervene. To be fair,
I would say he was moving away from it enough to warrant saying he's no longer a goal scoring opportunity.
No, I agree entirely.
I see a link to say that Henderson said he knew what way Marmoush was going, but he didn't have a clue what way Haaland was going for the penalty as well.
Easy to say after the game, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's just shit talk. But
Guardiola wasn't happy with him, was he?
No.
To be fair, I thought it was struck well. It was in the corner. He didn't possibly disguise the body movement well enough, but it was a very good save. I think give credit to the save.
And
I don't understand why managers get upset with other players for doing stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. If you're a manager, upset the decision's not gone with you. But if that was Edison or one of his keepers that had done that and they'd have won 1-0, he'd be thrilled for him. He'd be like, "Well done, mate. You did really well there." So why got to get upset with something that you'd be quite happy for your own players to do if they got away with it?
To be fair,
it's just frustrating when you're on receiving end.
He'd lost his head, Pep. To be honest with you, I think they don't lose too many finals, and he didn't seem in a very good headspace at the end of the game. The way
they've won nothing, have they?
Yeah,
well, the first season under his management, they've not won any trophy at all.
I think it's the second, isn't it? Didn't he do it in his first year?
His first year. Well, his first year, I think everyone gives you a bit of. Even Pep needs a season to warm into the Premier League.
Well, I think they're the only two times in his career he's not won a trophy in a season. This season and his first season. Eze's goal, I know you just mentioned that in a bit earlier, Chalky, but that was a lovely finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, his second half of the season, he's been class. He's looked so good.
He's really come into his own in the last sort of month or two. Although you take the last month or two out of the equation, I think everyone would probably agree that he's been a little bit underwhelming until this point. But certainly started
the whole team
scoring key goals.
Weren't they? It was underwhelming. He was still got a few goals and a few assists, but the whole team had underperformed that season. You thought they wouldn't be quite as far down as they were.
Well, certainly they started terribly. They were down there with Southampton in the relegation zone, but even when they picked up, I don't know, I just didn't feel like Eze got going until much later on.
I think he had a couple of injuries, didn't he?
He's had a few injuries. So
I think it's hard as well, because especially after Elise left, he was looked at like the star talisman. And if your team's not performing, that's a lot of pressure to carry on your shoulders. As supposed talisman, your team underperforming, and then everyone looks at you, and then your performances become scrutinised more than everyone else's does, and it's a lot of pressure to carry on your shoulders. And once the team then starts playing, it kind of relieves that a bit, and then a bit more freedom to play the football that he deems gets the best out of him.
Where do you think Eze potentially goes if he leaves?
That's mentioning that, Chalky. Isn't it a shame that Palace win their cup and then all of a sudden everyone's...
Yeah.
I'm not digging you out, Chalky, because I was listening to like Talk Sport and 5 Live.
Do you want me to say Liverpool, Chalky?
I think that's Spurs, maybe.
Don't know. Does he want another relegation scrap?
That's a good point.
Spurs, maybe. I don't know. Even like I don't know. I don't know if Newcastle will be in for someone like that. I don't think he would quite suit Newcastle. I don't know where he might go, but he's definitely got a big move in him, I think.
I think he want to play for a team in Europe, won't he? He want to play in a more prestigious competition.
Which Palace are next season.
Huh?
Palace are in the league, aren't they? So I think he should stay with Palace.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I mean. He's going to want a team. It's not going to Spurs. They might not get anything at this rate because if Man United win the final on Wednesday, Spurs will have nothing. So they won't have anything to offer him that Palace don't at the moment.
I think I agree with Dan. I think another season with Palace, with European football, would be a developmental step for him in his career, wouldn't it? And we'll see if he can. They've got a few
good players, I think, could move.
It's isn't it as well? I think if you're getting regular game time and he's in the England squad, I think it's key you stay somewhere you're going to play.
Yeah.
And what is it? Is it World Cup next year?
Yeah.
Next summer is the World Cup.
Yeah, so that any move now is risky because, like I say, you've got if you want to be in that national team, you've got to make sure you're getting the minutes. If he goes to a bigger club now, he doesn't get played or goes in a bit bad form,
he's more likely to get picked for the national side if he's the star at Palace than a substitute at Chelsea or Man City.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Look at James Maddison. He can't get in the England squad. He's in and out of that Spurs team. I know he's probably had a few issues with Southgate, didn't he?
He's pony as well, mate.
You say that, but every time he comes on for Spurs, he's the only one in that team creating chances a lot of the time.
I'd say Kulusevski's been superb for Spurs this season.
He has been pretty good, but the problem is Kulusevski's when he's out on the wing, he can get very isolated because there's no one in the middle. Sarr carries the ball, but he's not a person who will spread the play and bring other people into play.
I think we've got too many players in sort of Maddison's position that are much better than him.
For England, yeah.
He normally plays on the wing though, doesn't he, when he comes on for England? I think he's normally drifts out wide, doesn't he? He plays a similar role for Palace, doesn't he? They play like two false tens.
Yeah.
So I think just the player like Eze just needs a bit of freedom, doesn't he, to express himself?
It depends how Tuchel's going to play as well, doesn't it? We haven't really seen a great deal of that yet.
Going back to the FA Cup, do you think that will sort of give other teams like Southampton, Everton, Brighton, Fulham, Brentford?
Seeing a team like Palace win a cup, I think it's fantastic for football. You know, you want to see different winners. Certainly from a Southampton perspective, I can't help but feel slightly envious as well, admittedly. But you just got to hope one day it will be our time. But no, I'm really pleased for Palace. Contrary to Mike, I think it's refreshing not to see Man City win another final, win another cup. And I also think it highlights the strength of the Premier League at the moment, sort of outside the so-called sort of top big sides. You know, I think that middle part of the league is so strong at the moment. Highlighted by Palace winning. Who saw them winning when you had the semi-final lineup confirmed?
I didn't even think they'd make the final. I thought it'd be a City Villa final.
No, I did too. Villa have been incredible, but they didn't show up on the day, did they?
I think it's great.
What was that, 3-4-0 in the end?
3-0, I think, wasn't it?
3-0, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Villa Palace was 3-0.
Yeah. And it could have been worse for Villa, to be honest. They got battered. But I thought Crystal Palace thoroughly deserved the win as well. They kept Man City at arm's reach throughout the game. I must say I fancied Palace after seeing City's performance away at Southampton the week before. I thought, they're not going to be carrying that sort of confidence in attacking areas.
They never really looked like breaking them down, did they? They had a couple of decent half chances on the edge of the box, and I think Foden or someone had a one-on-one from a tightish angle. But other than that, they didn't create any real good chances. Haaland looked almost like he wasn't there, to be fair. And
never scored in the final.
It just looked like Palace were never really stretched.
For City.
No, well, City, to be honest with you, they defended compactly and they played over the top of the press for their goal. They hit a nice long pass into Mateta, who held it up beautifully, and that sort of got Munoz in behind. He just cut it back, and there it was. yeah. I think they had Sean Dyche on the commentary actually, and he kind of called it out, didn't he? Before it had actually happened, he said, "This is how to play City, play against City. You know, you've got to vary up your play and play over the top."
Wish he could have showed that as Everton manager. So well done, Palace. Obviously, and all Palace fans, it's great to see you win. But moving on, Everton Saints. Obviously, Mike and I were there this weekend. The final game at Goodison. Hickers, we'll just get your touch on it first as a Saints fan. And
yeah,
the game.
Well, what can I say? Southampton made it a very lovely afternoon for the Everton fans. I mean, it was always going to be a massive occasion. You saw the crowds outside. You had the violin playing. You know, what an occasion. And Southampton didn't show up in the first half. We made it very easy. Yeah, Ndai showed 2 moments of absolute quality. And that was that. I mean, we improved a little bit in the second half, but by then I think Everton had full control of the game and they had it all wrapped up, and it made it just a lovely celebration, which I kind of feel like I wish we gave it more of a game. In some ways, that would have been a bit more of a dramatic ending. Do you know what I mean, to Goodison Park? But
I wish you didn't try as hard in the last 10 minutes. You were giving me a heart attack.
Really? Were you nervous? No way.
As soon as Branthwaite went off, me and Dan both looked at each other and went, this could be a problem.
Could be in trouble. The problem is I wanted the last goal at Goodison to be from an Everton player. So I didn't want you guys to come up and nick a goal in the last minute, and then forever in history, the last goal scored by...
Actually, that's...
Jack Stevens.
Yeah,
that's a really good point. I mean, imagine if Ross Stewart scored his first goal for Saints at Goodison Park. That would have been quite a cool stat.
I'd say it was quite, first off, the atmosphere before the game as well was absolutely incredible. Obviously, there was the coach welcome, which was unbelievable. I don't think many other clubs, obviously I'm slightly biased, but I don't think many other clubs would have put up a welcome like that. I saw Mike would attest to it as well, the actual atmosphere inside the ground for the 15-20 minutes before it started. The first 5-10 minutes is nothing I've seen before. And it felt like, because we started quite well, we almost scored quite early on, and then obviously Njai popped up with a goal, and it seemed from then it just seemed like it was going Everton's way, which for me obviously was a great thing. But
how were you both at the game? Were you both emotional? I mean, I think it was emotional for even a neutral fan, really.
I'll let you have a quick say, Mike. I've done a lot of talking.
Yeah, I mean, emotions was definitely high. I wouldn't say I got emotional. I was so happy to be a part of the day. I think the only thing I could feel on that day was joy to be there, and joy to watch the win, and joy to watch the players. So I was just happy to be there. It was a little bit bittersweet, obviously, to have to sit in the away fans and not be with the ruckus that was the home fans. But there was, the enjoyment was there for me, and certainly for me and Dad and Dan, was just I could just sit back and I could watch the Everton fans in their glory in that glorious old stadium. And yeah, unfortunately couldn't celebrate the goals, but the first goal I'd say was a moment of quality. The second, a bit of luck to fall to and a nice bit of composure. But yeah, I think it's nice that we're giving it to the ladies are going to be at Goodison Park, although I think we're deconstructing most of it. And Dan says we're rotating the pitch or something. But yeah, I think it'll be good for the girls to go on it and carry it on. And it'll be good. I think that'll be a good way of bringing more light on the female game, which I do think we need to do, because at the moment they don't have their own stadiums, they don't have anything like that. So it'd be nice for them to have Goodison Park or a version of it.
It was it was hard. I'd say Hickers was to leave was the bit I found the strangest. Yeah. We were watching the game. It was a slightly weird experience being sat where we were. But as soon as
what's your favourite moments at Goodison?
I mean,
top one.
Past the first game, I remember the first game certainly first game I remember. Dad took me and my brother up. We beat Fulham 3-0 and Yakubu scored a hat-trick.
Not Yakubu.
Yeah.
It was around my birthday, and I remember my friend come up with me, and I'd never forgotten. I will never forget it. And walking away from the pitch, I think left our seats, and I think I went back 3 times. There was 3 different entrances. It was incredibly hard to walk away. It's such an iconic stadium. I don't think it's just Everton fans who appreciate Goodison, but obviously no one would appreciate it as much.
So I thought you'd say Luis Suarez diving in front of David Moyes.
Who? It's I mean,
he dived a lot of places. We can't remember every way he dived.
Right in front of David Moyes, mate. You remember that one?
Mate, honestly, there's probably a heat map of Luis Suarez all over the pitch. It covers the thing. He dived everywhere.
You're lucky he didn't take a nibble.
That was him celebrating a goal that wasn't his as well, by the way. When that Leighton Baines' own goal as well.
Hey, Luis Suarez will fucking claim any goal, mate.
I don't suppose you two have any memories of Goodison, do either of you two ever been?
I'll be honest. No, I've never got the opportunity to go up to Goodison Park. So yeah, no memories. Although I do know it's never been a happy hunting ground for Southampton. Yeah, I think 2 years ago when we got relegated the first time, we obviously got the win with a Prowsey double, I think, but not many happy memories, that's for sure.
It's a great stadium. I mean, we do need to move it or better the club, but it is a shame to say goodbye, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that the last game was a win. The last goal under the lights was probably Chalky's favourite goal to be scored at Goodison. James Tarkowski nailing one in. So.
Mate, to be fair, mate, that goal let us win the league at Anfield, mate. So
okay, yeah. I think that's more to do with
But to be fair, all credit's due, that's probably one of the top highlights this season. Like I say, even as a Liverpool fan, that has got to be up there. Like last season at Goodison, last minute equaliser against your rivals. That was like fucking like I was so gutted at the time, but now we've won it and it's fine. Like I say, you can look back at that. I think what a moment that would have been.
That's the sort of goal that gets put on the opening credits of Match of the Day, isn't it? That's what
yeah. It's hell of like I say, just classic Barclays Premier League. Isn't it?
It was watching. I remember watching that game. Obviously, I wasn't there. I was watching it with Mike and our dad, and you just kept thinking there will be another moment. There's got to be another moment. This can't be out.
I think the commentators calling it as well.
And then all of a sudden, obviously, Tarkowski, I don't know what he was doing up there, but thank God he was there. So it's one hell of a hit.
He was taking it upon himself as Everton captain to get us in that game.
I feel obliged to point out he wasn't the captain, but
why wasn't he captain that game?
He's Coleman's captain, and
Coleman playing, was he? I didn't realise Coleman was playing that game.
I might have got that wrong.
I'm sure, because I've heard Coleman's not played many games this season. I'm sure Chalky was captain that game.
You might be right. We'll check. And
that was a bit of a shame as well, him going off on it last game. Goodison.
So that's Brantford that went off this weekend, and Tarkowski got injured against Ipswich. I think it was.
Tarkowski got injured against Man City. 70th minute or something?
Don't know, yeah, potentially.
It was.
So he was close to actually breaking the record for consecutive appearances as well. I think he made like 110 or something consecutive appearances, 106, which is incredible.
That Jake O'Brien's come on leaps and bounds, hasn't he, under Moyes? So he's
got a chance under Dyche. His first real appearance under Dyche, he came on through necessity more than a tactical or for his performances. But Moyes gave him a chance in his first choice of picking a lineup because he had Aston Villa, but he didn't really pick the lineup for that. And then his next game, he picked the line, put Jake O'Brien in a right back. And since then, I think his first game was up. It was like a 6 out of 10 probably performance. He did all right, but since then he's been a solid 7-8 every game. He's scored everyone he's come against. He's not given him an edgewise. But yeah, he's been class since he's come on.
Jake O'Brien, especially playing at right back for a lot of it as well. He's played out of position. And
that didn't seem like a natural position for someone of his sort of height and stature, but you see it quite often at the moment with, centre backs playing a fullback and then inverting a bit.
Dan Burns stuff. He's had a great season doing that, hasn't he?
Moyes done it with Jolie and Lescott as well. Actually, he played Lescott at left back for a while.
And Joseph Yobo. Played him right back for a little while.
Chalky smiling at Joseph Yobo.
Joseph Yobo, mate. I don't know for ages.
That's a blast from the past, Joseph Yobo.
He was a good player, mate.
I know. I remember he was.
He was part of the first centre-back pairings I really sort of can really remember and resonate with was Yobo and Lescott.
He was a bit like a centre-half version of Beto. Like, he just seemed a bit all over the place, bit clumsy, but he was okay. He'd done the job. He was Moyes' first signing.
Can you imagine a front two of Beto and Nunes? The game wouldn't fucking have any gameplay, mate. They'd always be offside.
Nunes.
Yeah, so Beto would score first.
Moving on from Everton and Goodison. It's that time of year, lads. Team of the season. Who would like to read their team out first?
Drum roll, please.
Go on, Dan. You do it. Lead the way.
We'll let Chalky start because
Chalky
team sorted first.
Okay.
Fair enough. He's most organised. Go on.
I haven't got it in front of me, but I think I can remember it. So I've gone Matt Sales in goal. I think he's level on with David Raya for clean sheets, but I don't think anyone expected Matt Sales to be up there. Gone Munoz right back. I think he's had a great season with Palace, especially second half of the season. I was going to go Olaina, but Munoz edged it for me. Then I've gone Big Verge. And then I went Gabriel. I know he's been injured the last couple of months, but I think Arsenal without Gabriel, you can notice it big time. I think he's arguably better than Saliba.
And their performance as drops, it shows his importance.
Yeah. I went Kirkes left back. And then two CDMs, I went with Caicedo and Gravenberch. And then just in front of them, I went McAllister, then Salah, Isaac, and then Mbeumo. Because I think Mbeumo's up 19 goals now.
Yeah.
And then I was torn whether to put Visser in, because again, 19 goals as well, no penalties. Morgan Rogers has been good, but like I say, they're just two honourable mentions. But that's my team.
Hickers, you got any
strong one?
Anyone who's the same as Chalky?
Yeah, I do. I strongly agree with the goalkeeper selection, Matt Sells. He has made a huge number of saves and returned 13 clean sheets.
Yeah,
I think he's made the second most number of saves in the league, joint with Ramsdale, which was surprising to see.
Yeah,
but he's conceded far less. But I just think to have 13 clean sheets from having made that many number of saves is incredible. So I very much agree with that selection. I have gone for, at left back, Mark Cucurella. So
good.
So that's although I must say I found it very difficult to decide between him and Kirkes, but I've gone for Cucurella because I think he's scored the most number of goals as a defender. Popped up at big moments for Chelsea in their season, their sort of big game-winning goals. And I think he's a little bit of an unsung hero. I think he's been an ever-present in their team. And let's be honest, they are, they're fighting for the Champions League, just like, some of these other teams like Villa and Forest. I don't know why. For me, they seem to have kind of gone under the radar a little bit. Maybe because their form went off the rails for a little bit. But and also because Cucurella's a bit of a shithouse, let's be honest. I think a lot of opposition fans don't like him.
English fans mainly, I think.
I saw firsthand some of the shithousery at St Mary's, where he went down at the tiniest little tug of his hair from Jack Stevens. But no, you can't deny he's a great player, great technical player, gets forward. But so is Kirkers. But for me, he just narrowly shaded that. My centre backs were Dan Burn and Murillo. So I'll start with Murillo because I think it's a very close call between him and Milenkovic.
Yeah.
But I just think he's just got an unbelievable technical ability. I think he starts a lot of those counter-attacks that Forest play.
I think he could play for a bigger club.
Yeah, well, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah,
but
big club there, Chalky.
As I say, 2 Champions Leagues in a row. I can't think you can knock that as a big club, mate.
But you think of how Forest played, he's absorbed a huge amount of pressure with Milenkovic. Great, huge number of last man tackles, clearances, and complements Milenkovic really nicely. So that's Murillo. Dan Burn, again, a huge number of clean sheets and has been a bit of a hero this season. You think he scored in the EFL Cup final as well. I love a bit of a story in football, so
That's the same reason I've gone with Dan Burn Hickers, to be fair. I've got Dan
really
Burn. Same reasons, yeah.
We're soppy down, aren't we? Anyway,
I've got Dan Burn in my team.
What? Wow.
Yeah, I put him at right back because that's where he's been playing. But to play out of position as well as he has done, he scored some big goals as well against Liverpool and all sorts.
Where have you got him playing?
Huh?
Where have you got him playing?
Right back.
Oh, he's been playing left back.
Dan Burn, I'm pretty sure he's left back, but predominantly a centre back.
Because I wanted Robinson in my left back because I thought he's had a cracking season as well for Fulham.
Had a very good season.
So I've put him at right back because he's been playing at full back. So.
Well, I'll try and speed up my team.
You can't Yeah, we'll let Hickers finish, Michael. We'll pick up that. You can't
your time will come. But I've gone for Daniel Munoz at right back, just simply because I think he's just got an incredible work rate, incredible ability, both offensively and defensively. You look at his stats, goals and assists, and then his number of tackles. Just to have that much influence is really impressive. And then obviously topped off by the FA Cup win and assists that he got. So that's Munoz. And then in the midfield, Gravenberch, McAllister and Declan Rice. I just feel like I had to include Liverpool midfielders in there. You won't like to hear that, Dan and Mike, but the big reason for their title win this year has come in the middle of the park and the way that they control games and break up the play. And Declan Rice, just simply because I think he's really come on. He's developed his game in an attacking sense. He's always had that real positional awareness in defence and that technical ability, but you're seeing him, dribble, find attacking areas, add numbers to his game. So I just think he's a key cog in that Arsenal team now. First name on the team sheet, and rightfully so, based on from his performances this year. And then I like Szoboszlai. He's got great energy. I just think he just lacks a little bit of end product
and quality.
I've seen him batter like when Liverpool are having a field day. Like he will chip in. But I just like to see him have a little bit more.
He's like the younger cousin at a party. He's never going to do anything special, but when everyone's having a good time, it's nice to have him just show up, isn't it? He's not going to do anything special for you.
No, you're. And then up top, quite similar to Chalky, Mbeumo, Salah, and up top was so difficult between Isak and Wood, but because I think Isak's the best striker in the league. But if I'm going from performances this season and someone who's got every ounce of their ability, it's got Chris Wood is my winner.
You think Isak better than Haaland?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah, 100%.
I honestly, I think
goal
Isak's
scorer.
the best player, best striker, one of the best players I've ever seen.
As a
St.
footballer,
Mary's.
He might be a
Yeah.
better footballer. He ain't going to get you as many goals as Haaland.
mate, you put Isak in that team, you get more goals than Haaland, I think.
No
I
chance.
think Isak just offers. I just think he has just a little bit more about his game. Granted, I don't think you can argue with Haaland's numbers, his physical abilities, his positioning in the box, but Isak is something special.
That what he does, you can't. Isak will move
He's good,
the ball
but I
better.
think
He'll
Isak's
create
better.
chances. Isak will do all these wonderful things. But you put Haaland in a team with a couple of players who can give him a bit of service, and he'll just batter a defence until he gets a goal, and he'll get 1, 2.
Yeah.
I mean, you've gone with Chris Wood, to be fair, Hickers, so it's a point.
Yeah, so we're
taken, but
deviating.
I was just a bit taken aback then. Obviously, Chalky agrees. I think Chalky's slightly biased because he's played for a more successful club in recent years than Liverpool. But
if you look at Wood's goals to expected goals,
he's had a great
scored
season.
far more than he should have.
I'm just going to go through my team quickly.
Yeah, sorry, you go
It's
down.
very similar to yours, Hickers, if I'm honest. Apart from in goal, so I've gone. I'm sure it will surprise you. I've gone with Jordan Pickford. The reason is he's conceded less goals than Matt Sells. He's had 2 less clean sheets, but I think you've got to consider who he's playing for and what end of the table the teams are competing at. Also, Pickford's faced 2 penalties this season, saved them both. I think their save success rate is 0.01 in it. And I think to do that for a team that's, well, first half of the season was down at the bottom. Obviously, you got the other end that were Forest fighting at the top. That's where I've gone with Jordan Pickford. I think he's performed just as well, if not better, at a club that wasn't performing as well this season. Right back, I've gone Munoz, and I think for all the reasons you said, Hickers, I think he's been incredible every week. He seems to get an assist or a goal. He has really had a great season. Centre back, I've gone with Dan Burn and Milenkovic, so the other Nottingham Forest centre half. And it really
I could have gone for either.
Yeah. It really was a toss up between the two, and I've gone with Milenkovic, and I think he'll probably move on in the summer. I think it's quoted somewhere that he didn't join West Ham because he told David Moyes he was going to use him as a bit of a stepping stone. So I think if a Champions League club comes knocking, he'll probably be off. Left back, Mark Cucurella and Robinson were really close to getting in my team, but I have gone with Kirkes. I think he's only 21. He's had a great season, and by the looks of it, he's going to be joining Liverpool, so I'll never have him in this team again.
He's arguably got one of the best assists of the season as well, hasn't he?
Which one?
I believe. Now it says. I just remember him whipping an unbelievable cross from quite deep, and I can't remember who they're playing now.
I was thinking Newcastle.
But it's just the pace and the whip he gets on those crosses, and one of them was just unbelievable, just because it was just so far out.
Yeah, so Kirkes has gone in. He's had a great season. Yeah. We'll see what he does when he takes the next step. I've got Rice as sort of my holding midfielder. I know he's not played there this season, and he's had a great season. But the other 2 centre mids I've got in will need a little bit of cover. So I've gone with Gibbs White and Morgan Rogers. I know Morgan Rogers has played a little bit out wide in behind the striker, but Rogers, I think, has been incredible this season, and at points he's really pushed Villa on and drove them forward. Gibbs White, I think, has led that Nottingham Forest team. I don't think they would be. It's harsh to say. I don't think they'd be doing anywhere near as well without Gibbs White. I think he's a leader of that team. I think he's really pushed them on. I think he's had a great season. So I think it'd be harsh not to have too many Nottingham Forest players in this team as well, especially because I didn't go with the goalkeeper. So that's why I've gone with Gibbs White, and Rogers. And then my forward line, I've got Mbeumo, Woods, and I can't remember who I put right wing. So we're just going to leave that one because I think there's someone out there who's had quite a good season, but people have spoken about him enough. Chris Wood, similar reasons to you, because I think he's performed incredibly. He's probably not going to have a season like this again. I know he's getting on a bit. But again, Mbeumo, 19 goals. I know there's a few penalties in there, but him and Wissa have really led that team, Brentford forwards. And I thought they were going to struggle without Tony. I tipped them to be quite far down the league. And they've done really well. Sort of pushed on again. So that's my team. I thought I'd jump in there, Hickers, because we've probably got 6 or 7 players that are quite similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone got any issues with my team? I'm sure a couple of people aren't really too happy with Jordan Pickford in that, but
no issues at all. But has the right winger come back to you, Dan?
Moving on.
Say his name.
I think Salah's probably should be in everyone's team. Should need more goals than anyone else, more assists than anyone else. So for that reason alone, he's in my team. But he's had a shocking couple of 3-4 weeks, though, hasn't he? Not performed very well.
Mate, they've been in Dubai, haven't they? And
but he was close to records, isn't he? I think he needed 3 assists to break the assist record. 8, and he had 8 games left. Now he's got 1 game left. I bet he does it. I bet. Who have you got last game? Is it
Palace? It's just going to be like
against Bruno, isn't it? So hopefully,
they're going to be on a high, aren't they? Because I think if they win this weekend, they can finish on their highest points tally. And obviously Liverpool are on the piss every weekend at the moment.
They're struggling. They're definitely struggling.
To be fair, it must be hard to motivate.
Well, they were in Dubai, weren't they? And then they had some festival for Trent or something.
Yeah, they're leaving, didn't they?
Yeah,
the season. So,
I know you've got to surely maintain that sort of professionalism to the last game of the season, though. Otherwise, you're going to have runs like this where they're like,
I think he's literally given the players, let your hair down. Like McAllister, he's not playing the rest of the season. He's giving him time off because he said he's played like a dog all season, basically.
Has he been that good? I know he's in your team, Hickers. I can't remember.
Yeah, mate, he's been class, man.
Well, like I said, I think
he reminds me of a deeper Coutinho, like that sort of player, but he's a bit more rough and ready.
I didn't realise how good he was as a defensive player.
Yeah,
I've always thought of him as a technical passer with a great sort of long strike, but he breaks up the play so well.
Yeah,
and him and Gravenberch sort of interchange a lot, don't they? I just think it's really worked in that Liverpool team this year.
I almost do his team as well. I tried not to be too biased, but purely on the fact that he's been incredible this season. He's made more tackles than anyone else, and he's led Everton's team. So Idrissa Gueye gets an honourable mention for Mike.
Can I give one more honourable mention, and then we'll hear Mike's? But Moses Caicedo is a player as well who, if you look up the stats, he tops everything: passes, through balls, tackles. He is incredible at what he does. Again, he's sort of one of those unsung heroes, really, in the Chelsea team. That classic sort of CDM. I just, I think he could probably make his way into any team in the Premier League. Moses Caicedo.
He was someone I considered as well. Sorry, excuse me. He was someone I considered as well, to be fair. But if I was going to put one of the two of them out, I'd have gone with Idrissa Gueye. Just purely he's made more tackles, and I think he's carried Everton more than Caicedo has Chelsea. But he didn't make my team. Obviously, I've got Gibbs White and Morgan Rogers in there, and Declan Rice. Then, Mike, what about your team?
Right. So yeah, I was. I went with Flecker, my keeper, because he's made the most saves out of any of them.
I saw that. He's made 30 more saves than any other goalkeeper.
That's a lot of saves he's made, more than any other keeper. And I could watch him a couple times. I watched him against Everton, and he made 3 one-on-one saves against Beto. And I watched him in the Chelsea game I watched, and he was very impressive in that one as well. Every time I've watched Brentford this season, at least once or twice I've gone, that's a hell of a save. He's just pulled out some brilliant.
He might have 1 or 2 assists as well.
I didn't check out his assists, but yeah, every time I've watched Brentford this season, I've been impressed with the performance of the keeper. So, I put Dan Burn right back as a mistake. Yeah, I knew it was full back, but I wasn't paying attention to which side of the pitch. Apparently,
you got to change that. You can't be having Dan Burn.
No, I'm having him at right back. He's an inverted right back for me.
Can't be having Dan Burn there.
I also went with I can't say his name. The Nottingham Forest centre back.
Milenkovic.
Again, when I've watched Forest, I've been more impressed with Milenkovic than Murillo. I think Murillo's been really good, and I think carries the ball well. But I've seen Milenkovic score some banging headers, and he's just an old school centre back. The other one I went with centre back wise, I went with Collins from Brentford because Again, he's been all right. I know they're not way up in the top, but I've tried not to pick just people out of the top 4 teams because I just didn't want to have the same as everyone else. But he's up there. He's up there for blocks. He's up there for tackles. He's up there for all the defensive stats that you want him to be up there. So he's putting himself about, and he's getting himself in the way of the ball, which is exactly what a defender's supposed to do.
The only person in the world who'd put Nathan Collins in at team of the season this year.
I looked at all his stats, mate. He's up there, and so that's why I went with it. Mainly because I didn't want to put someone else in there, but
James Tarkowski.
I thought about Tarkowski, but again, I didn't want to put any Everton players in because I didn't want people accusing me of bias. So no Everton or Liverpool players in my side.
No Liverpool players either.
No, none.
Jeez.
None at all. None at all.
Flecken's made 2 assists. I've just checked it as well.
That's pretty impressive. I've gone Robinson at left back. I think that's self-explanatory, really. He's had a cracking season. 12 assists, I think, for a Fulham team in the bottom half of the table. I think
that's incredible.
I checked now. It's 10, but either way, it's an incredible amount.
Same as you, Chalky. I think it was. You've got Caicedo in your team.
Yeah.
And same as your Hickers, I've got Rice in there. Again, I think this season Rice has really kicked on with his going forward. I don't know if he scored more goals, but a couple of the goals were really important. The one against Man United, the 2 free kicks against Real Madrid. I actually thought he stood out in the PSG game because he was the only one really breaking those lines and pushing forward and making chances. I thought the whole Arsenal side looked almost a bit defeated at points, but a couple of times Rice picked the ball up and just powered through the midfield lines and made a good chance for Martinelli at one point. I've got Mbeumo as my number 10. I know he's more winger, but I'm putting him as my number 10 because that's what I've done. Wingers, I've got Isak. Again, you can say he's a striker, but he'd be awesome. He's awesome.
He can play on the wing.
Yeah, I put him on the wing because if you're gonna the comment about Haaland and Isak, if you'd have them both in the same team, you'd have Isak on the wing and Haaland through the middle, and that would be one hell of a side to try and stop. So I've got Isak, and I've gone with Elanga because I thought he's been, especially the second half of the season, I thought he's been really, really good and scored some important goals.
Got 11 assists as well, Elanga.
Yeah, I thought he's the first sort of, I think 12 games or so, he was just warming up, and then after that he's absolutely smashed it.
His pace on the break is frightening. He's perfect to the way Forest play.
His dribbling at speed, isn't it? He keeps the ball so close to his feet and still moves at what looks like almost his top speed. And that's so hard to tackle when someone's going so quick and the ball's so close to their feet because you've got the timing to make the tackle with such a small window. Otherwise, you make a foul or he goes round you. My striker is Chris Wood. I was tempted to put Liam Delap in there just because I think Wood's got 19 goals this season.
Yeah, I think it's
20, Chris Wood.
20 now, is it? Yeah, he's got 20 goals and Delap's on 12. I think 12 goals is your first season in the Premier League. In a struggling Ipswich side, I think that's an incredible achievement. But Woods and Nottingham Forest deserve all the plaudits they're getting. And yeah, I think before this season, everyone would describe Woods as sort of 6 to 8 goals a season striker. And if he's smashed it this year, getting like 20.
Oh, I'd be interested now to know Chalky's opinion in Elanga being picked over Mohamed Salah.
He got to be a bit biased. I didn't expect. I suppose you put him in.
It pains me greatly, but I want to try and be honest. I mean, I've only got one player from the Champions, and
And that was because it was impossible to leave him out, Dan. Let's be honest.
I disagree. I completely disagree.
Apparently not.
Did it quite well, I thought.
I love the Elanga shout, but there is no way that Mo Salah can be excluded from that team of the season.
Well, that's great.
You've got to take away the recency bias of the last month, where admittedly he's definitely tapered off, but he was in the form of his life at the beginning of the season, and it's probably down to his new hairline.
You look at every season, though. This time of the season, he always does seem to drop off.
He got his contract and dropped off.
Yeah,
the contract.
He just
how many goals has he got this year?
28.
28 goals.
And 18 assists.
Happens.
The other 3 were penalties.
Exactly. So I'm sorry. He don't get in my team.
I just think Mo Salah can seem to be. I mean, I'm basing it on the experience I've had watching him at St Mary's. He can be absent for about an hour, and then just suddenly, bang bang, the game's been turned on its head. Just think he's just incredibly clinical.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite amazing to watch how a player can do absolutely nothing for 85 minutes, and all of a sudden, one man can give them a penalty, and he's got a chance to score.
I think there's a lot more to his game than that, though. Let's be honest. Like...
True. He sometimes dives and wins the penalties as well. So you can't take it away from him. He does earn them as much as take them. So,
I mean, we've got a podcast coming up in a couple of weeks of overrated players. So I'm fairly sure we may see a certain Liverpool winger in Mike's.
I think I'm just gonna pick the 11 Liverpool players that started the season. That's just going to be my selection. I might chuck a couple Man United players in there just to mix it up, but it's going to be an easy selection for me. Huh?
I don't think anyone rates United players anymore. Maybe
people's going to talk about him like he's the godsend. What are you talking about?
Well, so that's our team in the seasons. I don't think. I'm just having a quick look at who we've got in our sides. They are quite similar, to be fair, and I think it'd be hard to argue. Mike's probably got the most controversial side. I'm surprised, lads. They're fairly similar. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm surprised there's not more clangers in there from a couple of us. But...
Clangers? What, were you expecting a Southampton player in there somewhere?
I thought Ramsdale might get a shout from you, Hickers. I
was thinking if Hickers was going to put anyone, it would be Fernandes.
But look, Fernandes he's a brilliant young player. He's absolutely nowhere near team of the season. If we're doing our relegation 11, maybe that's a difference.
Yeah, there's another one. There's another one to coming out in a couple of weeks. So keep an ear out for that, listeners.
Spoiler alert there.
It's a teaser, Jack. There's no spoilers here. It's all teaser.
Well, spoiler if I'm doing a team.
So feel free to get in touch, listeners. Any players you think we've missed out, any players you don't think we should have included. Again, I'll put all the information under the episode. But moving on, we're going to have a quick chat about the Europa League final. And question for you three: is this the worst final in a European competition ever? Is this the 2 worst sides to have ever made it?
Oh, it's going to be the horrible one to watch, isn't it? Because I don't think anyone wants either of them to win. Unless the actual fans of the relative clubs.
It's a really desperate final, isn't it? I mean, 2 clubs who've had miserable seasons, and everything comes down to this game. Everything. You think of the summer transfer windows that that the winner of this tie will have. I just think it's so important. But yeah, I mean, how on earth did Man United get past Athletic? Was it Athletic Club, who were fourth in La Liga, and absolutely batter them in 2 legs? I have no idea how that happened.
I do think it's probably more important Spurs win. I think.
Really?
Because I don't think their pool is half as big as United's. I think United's pool, as much as I hate them, they've always got that with the Man United factor about them. Whereas Spurs, I almost think there's not going to be much going for them if they can't get in any sort of European football.
I completely agree, Chalky. I think that's that element of Man United will still somehow, even though they've got very poor facilities, an old stadium, and are finishing low in the Premier League, people will still want to play for it because it's Man United. And even if they're not in the Champions League, some young player will be hoodwinked into going there because, look, we're rebuilding, come join Man United. Whereas Spurs, if they don't get Champions League football, what they got to offer other than the stadium they built for?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to say Spurs are pretty impressive in stature. That stadium's absolutely incredible.
As a business, that club is run impeccably. As a football team, they're a shambles.
Man United have a knack of winning trophies when they're not doing very well. Yeah. Since they've dropped off, since Alex Ferguson retired, unlike sort of Liverpool when they declined, they are still winning trophies every couple of years, aren't they? I think that is probably part of the reason why there's a pull to United. You're probably going to win a trophy going to Man United.
And that's probably why they're probably narrow favourites to win this game. Although there are a lot of omens this year about clubs getting their first trophy for a long time.
Yeah.
And how unbearable, well, not unbearable, but Ange saying at the beginning of the season he always wins this trophy in his second season. How is that going to go?
If he pulls it off, fair play to him. Like, he's cool.
Yeah,
he did cool.
He's going to be so smug.
But if he loses, he's getting sacked, isn't he?
I think he might get sacked regardless.
Well, if Tottenham do what they usually do, they'll probably sack him one game before.
Chalky, just touch on that. You think he'll get sacked either way?
I think he might.
Why do you think that?
I just think...
because they've been so bad.
Yeah. You can't ignore... I think one trophy can't ignore the whole season. Like, it's been pretty dire. I know they have had probably the worst injuries in the league, I think, like, with all the first team players out, I think. But I don't know. I just don't think you can ignore the rest of the 38 games.
They've
for
still
one trophy.
When they've had players back, though, haven't they? They've still not picked up results.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because every Spurs fan was saying for so long, as soon as you get Van de Ven back, we'll stop leaking goals, blah, blah, blah. He came back, they continued to leak goals, and then they got injured again anyway.
Yeah. I totally agree.
I really rate Mickey Van de Ven, but, as we've seen, it's hard for players to come back in and get to that standard immediately. I just think Spurs are just so easy to play against. Teams know they're going to get a chance. You put any slight bit of pressure on, and I just think, I think Mickey Van de Ven's a class player, and Romero together are a great partnership. And for a while in that, last season, they looked pretty strong. It looked like they had a good balance. But
Romero is an Atletico Madrid defender for I've seen them.
But with a few injuries, Van de Ven struggling to get to fitness, they just haven't adapted their approach, have they? It's just.
It's almost like Postecoglou just has the end. We will play how I play, no matter who's on that pitch. And I think sometimes
it's idealistic.
We are.
Yeah. You say idealistic. I think that's very nice. I think it's arrogant, to be honest. You can't. You've got to play with what you've got on the pitch, and you've got to play to those players' strengths, not to the style you think you want them to play. I think that's what the best managers do: is they play to the style of the players.
We are going to in a couple of weeks' time. We're going to do a podcast about how managers don't want to change the way they play. In a couple of weeks' time,
there's plenty of them.
So that is going to come up. So I think we've made some good points there. But moving back to the game, do you think Ruben Amorim will survive it if he loses?
I think he has to.
Yeah, I don't think
they can't afford to keep sacking managers and blaming the manager. There's a common denominator at that club, and it's the club and the players on the pitch.
Yeah, well, they brought in Berth and sacked him a couple of weeks later, didn't they?
Who?
The sporting director, didn't they? They brought him.
Aaron's going to be a bit more expensive than him, isn't he? I don't know what deal Aaron's signed, but I don't know how many years. But
he didn't want to come to the summer, did he? He said, "I'll join at the end." So maybe he's thinking, "I'll get pre-season and I'll sort them out." But I'm not convinced he'll get it if he loses.
I think he'll definitely get the summer, regardless of whether they win or lose. But the pressure is going to be intense on Amorim come the start.
It could be another 10 hard. They'll give him to the start of the season, and if the first 5-6 games go by and there doesn't seem to be any visible change, I think he'll go.
Did you see he's got
mistakes?
He's got a lower points tally than
Derby's.
Per game than Paul Jewell.
0.89 or something, and Derby's was 0.91.
He's doing worse than Gary Neville at Valencia as well. I think if he loses, he might go and hello Gareth Southgate.
Good.
I'd like to see that.
I think they'll give him
like Gareth Southgate.
We'll see.
Wrapping up then, predictions for. We're recording this Tuesday, the 20th of May. So tomorrow night's final. Hickers, we'll start with you. Prediction for the final.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Man United win.
Goal scorer?
I'm going to go Ahmad. Ahmad's got to score because he is a player who's incredibly exciting and seems to have hit the ground running straight away as it's coming back from injury. So I'm going to go for Ahmad. And I'm going to go for Dallo. I just think some sort of unlikely defender's going to pop one in.
As you know, I'm going to bet on this prediction now because if I say it and then it comes in, I'm not going to live it down.
And then I think for Spurs, I think despite his poor form, I think Son might pop up with a goal because he looked like he was getting in behind quite a bit in their last game. We'll see. That's my prediction.
I reckon a 2-2 full time, and I reckon Spurs nick it in extra time.
Goal scorer? Who do you think? You only have to give us one. Hickers got enthusiastic there, but if you want to...
sorry. Ahmad is my one.
I reckon Casemiro might pop up with a goal for United, and I think Solanke might pop up with a couple.
Mike?
I don't know. Honestly, I think it's gonna be a 1-0, or it'll be like 3-2. They'll be full of goals, or it'll be one. It'll be decided with one. But I'm gonna go with it'll be. I think it could be. I'm hoping it'll be a fun final to watch. I'll go 3-2. I'll go 3-2 Tottenham. I think I'll go with Richarlison hat trick. Richarlison hat trick. No, I think Richie could get one. I'll go with Bergvall and Solanke for the scorers, and for United, I'll go Fernandes and Mount.
So I'm going to go 1-1. Richarlison to score. Just 'cause I love him. And Bruno Fernandes penalty late on in the game to take it to extra time. And United on penalties. I think Spurs will bottle it.
Pigs fly, mate.
Yeah, I think Spurs will bottle it on penalties. So brilliant. With any like this episode is also going to be on YouTube. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.